So, James, I'm really curious about the difference between data and content. To me, it's tomato, tomato, but you're making it sound like a really big difference. So, is this a structure difference, how the information is presented? Is this a type of data question, or is this more of a philosophical difference in just how people think about the information in question?
I think a lot of it is to do with structure. A lot of it's to do with rights holders have been creating content over decades, perhaps. And for the last maybe 10 or 15 years, they've been throwing it into a cloud storage system. And they might not have a good understanding of what they have. We worked with a rights holder who'd been approached by an AI company asking for Arabic language content with transcriptionists. And they were like, yeah, we're pretty sure we created some stuff like that, but we have no idea where it is or what's in there.
Oh
And
boy.
there's like, if you can find it in our archive and here's access, then good luck. You can help license it. That's a real challenge for them. But the philosophical argument is also huge. You've probably seen there's a lot of debate happening both in the United States and especially in the UK around this idea of fair use, or we don't have that in the UK, but the ability to use this content for copyright. I've been lucky enough to be asked to give evidence at the House of Lords and the House of Commons select committees on these topics and met rights holders. And for them, it is a really emotional issue, that philosophy part of it of this is my life's work. How dare you copy it and
Mhm.
change it and then use it for your own purposes to make money? That is a really fundamental challenge for them. And so the way that manifested themselves is sometimes in the business aspects, they would come in with very different ideas about price and term and level of control. And as I said, we attempted to translate and be the buffer between those two.
So publishers wanted high price, low shared control, and I presume on the AI side they wanted low price, high levels of control, and that would probably sound like a different language at the
Yeah,
negotiation table. And
exactly.
so, how long did you guys try to bridge that gap? Like, how long did you sit there and be like, okay, we can make this work. We can get Bob and Jane to talk it out and reach a common understanding before you were like, okay, this is not going to be the path forward.
So we did this for about 15 months. We started our company in April of last year, and we went on until about the end of Q2 this year with a marketplace model. We attempted to prove that we could connect these two parties. We then tried to do a few different things. And one of the things that we tried to do is I have a very clear idea of what human native the marketplace would look like if the company was $1 billion company. It
Mhm.
would be we'd have to solve the ability for trillions of transactions happening effectively in real time for fractions of a cent each time. And
Mhm.
our company would look like infrastructure, and we would be that low friction barrier to enable these two parties to transact in close to real time. But in order to do that, you need a lot of precedents, you need a lot of standardizations, and you need the ability for supply and demand to meet in that way. In the end, it felt like we'd started out being this buffer between the two. We tried to let them speak to each other and then provide the infrastructure and the tools to do that. And eventually, it just felt like being involved in licensing was not the right path forward for us as a company, and frankly, wasn't a good use of our talents. I'm a couple of things. I've been a product manager at Google and DeepMind. We built lots of technology as a team. I'm not entirely sure I'm the world's best salesperson, or at least the best middleman between two organizations that are trying to get the best contract
Those are
deal.
different skills. Who would have thought?
Yeah. And so I think it's time for us to focus on what we're good at, which is building product and building technology.
So we'll get to that in just a second, but I want to go
Sure.
back to your point about trillions of transactions for a fraction of a penny,
Yeah.
because there's two main ways that data is used by AI companies. And a year ago, we were talking mostly about training data. AI companies going out there, hoovering up a large chunk of the internet, and then using that to form the large in their large language
Yeah.
models. Lately, though, talking to both publishers and AI entrepreneurs, it seems that the RAG use case, using data real time to help serve a query, has become much more important. So, as things go from kind of the training use case to the RAG use case, do you think that's going to help to resolve any of the issues that you've mentioned, or is it just the same problem as before, slightly different application, but no change to the fundamental disconnect that we just discussed?
I think it's still the same fundamental disconnect, Alex. I
Okay.
think the challenge is going to be, do publishers want to participate in a RAG type system where they don't get any control over the user experience and they lose their direct relationship with the customer? Right. The thing that's changing about these generative AI platforms, people are not leaving them. They're walled garden systems. And you're seeing traffic referrals drop off a cliff. And so if you're a media publisher, you don't have any incentive to work in one of these systems other than perhaps get a little bit of revenue because you're losing your direct relationship with the customer and your ability
Right.
to control how your message lands. For the AI companies, their situation is going to be, well, why should we pay for this information if it's available on the free internet? And
Yeah.
the open internet. And I think that's a really difficult one.